So in May of 2019, my wife and I and kids were living in Austin, Texas, and life was great. And then we heard those words no parent ever wants to hear when we were told that our 7-year-old daughter had leukemia. Seeing her healed and walking through that, it just brought front and center this concept that we only have one life to live. And how can we make that life count? And I just couldn't escape the idea that all the things that God had given to us when we were walking through our darkest days, so many people don't have others to walk alongside of them in their difficult times. And what would it look like for us to use our one life to start a church to reach new people, people that are disconnected, people who are disenfranchised, people that have no concept of who God is and have nobody to walk with them in dark seasons. And so living in Austin, Texas, living a great life, we decided God was calling us to plant a church in that moment and in that time. So once I decided I was going to plant a church, I then needed to figure out where are we going to plant a church. And God directed us specifically to the state of North Carolina. And then specifically, as we began to look at North Carolina, we realized that Raleigh was very similar to Austin, a city that we loved, a city that we were familiar with. Through some relationships, we became aware of this community called Knightdale. And as we began to press into Knightdale, we began to see and realize that it's one of the fastest growing communities in North Carolina. And yet on a Sunday morning, 8 out of 10 people are not in a life-giving church. We began to say, God, please show us and lead us what kind of church it is that we can see you start. God, what kind of church can we be a part of? And so there were two pressing things that really God was just putting inside of us. And one was that we want to start a church for people who don't go to church. And the second thing is we want to help people that are a part of the church be released back into the places where they live, work, play, and learn as ambassadors with the good news of Jesus. And so we said before we ever have public worship services, we want to start gathering with people. We want to start making disciples who make disciples because we believe that if we make disciples who make disciples, we will get a church that flows out of that. So we got here, we started in February, our first community group with the goal that group would multiply. And so we saw that group multiply, but we realized we didn't just want to be a community that was meeting in homes, but we wanted to really begin to also meet publicly. And so we began to say, what is it going to take for us to get to that place? And well, we've got to go to where our community's at. And so we started to throw we called them interest parties. And we just began to meet people in that process. If you're looking to be a part of BridgePoint, or maybe you just want to kick the tires a little bit, we would love for you to join us at our next gathering at the Ace Event Center. You can jump online, you can hop on social media and learn more about the details on that, when we meet, all the things for your family. But we would love to have you as our guest. Come check it out. I think you're going to love it.